Well, thanks, Paolo, and it's great to be here with you, Ursula. We have Ursula from the British Heart Foundation and Dan from New Signature. So thank you so much, not only for being with us here today, but also the partnership that we have together. It's, I have to say, quite a humbling experience for all of us at Microsoft. And so, Ursula, if I could start with you. Wow, the session this morning, the keynote from Simon was just so inspiring. I think as an organization, you've been going as long as I've been alive, so I learned that today. But we learned so much about your organization, your mission, your objectives, and specifically the Circuit opportunity and the work that you're doing with Circuit, which is just fantastic. We have many customers that have their great ideas, their opportunities, and they don't have the capabilities to really solve for that. So if you could just share your story and how you decided to work with a Microsoft partner, at what stage you engaged with them, and just tell us about that story.
Thank you, Joe. We had an idea about this. It's like we knew that there are these defibs all across the place, but we couldn't get access to that. The general public couldn't get access to them.
Yeah.
So we went to an RFP process with the idea, and New Signature took part in the RFP process. And from the moment New Signature actually engaged with us, it's been building on the idea. It's been actually, how can we do better? It's not just giving us, this is what you ask, you can do more. This is the art of the possible. And that's the success to this journey, and that's where we started the journey.
Yeah. And
it is simply the start.
And it's fantastic to see, because I think what I learned from our discussions is there's a capability focus and solutions, technology, but also there's a good cultural fit within the organizations, the mindset you have. Is that fair to say that that was part of your selection process?
Definitely so. One of the key criteria were, it's like, can you prove to us, can you demonstrate to us the cultural fit, what you're doing elsewhere, and so on. And they came up with global, not just UK-based, global examples as well, with all the other initiatives they're doing to prove the cultural fit.
Absolutely.
We were very impressed.
Yeah, and it was one of the key areas we focused on. Dan, wow, so it'd be great to get your perspective, just building on what Ursula said, but before you do that, it might be worthwhile for those companies out there, our customers that don't know who New Signature is. I'll say it, they're our UK Partner of the Year, so I'll give you that plug. But tell us a little bit about New Signature, your organization, and then specifically building on Ursula's comments, just take us through your part of that journey and how you go about taking a customer's idea and bringing it to reality and a solution and delivering on our customers' objectives.
Sure, absolutely. So, pitch for New Signature is pretty straightforward. We're pure Microsoft and we're pure public cloud. We're all about helping organizations like BHF take that leap into the public cloud and really use it as a platform to create these innovative new experiences for customers. And that was why this project was so interesting to us, because there was no blueprint. A lot of the customers that we work with have got these amazing ideas for these amazing new solutions that they want to create, but we can't point to something and say, I want one of those, because by definition it doesn't exist because we're creating it. And this is why I enjoy what I do so much, because it's that journey that you go on with customers from that initial kernel of an idea. Wouldn't it be great if we could do this, through to how do we actually develop that into more of a substantive idea, and then how do we continue to iterate on that idea? And something that we're big into is this whole agile, iterative-based development, using tools like Azure DevOps and using platforms like Azure, where we can continue on that 2-3 week cadence and actually see the thing come to life, because that's when the creative juices start to flow, and you can actually start to see it coming together and going, oh, this is brilliant, we just need to tweak this slightly, and that's the fun about what we do.
Yeah, and I think what's really exciting about this project, besides saving lives, which in its own right is pretty exciting, is that you engaged New Signature pretty early in the process, right, Ursula? Because it'd be good to get your perspective on at what stage you actually did bring them in.
It's during the RFP process. Although it was during the RFP process, as Dan said, it was an idea. So it gave us the opportunity to build on this together. It's look at what else can we do, and this is phase one. So what we're doing is actually, okay, let's get this live. Let's deploy it to all the 14 ambulance services.
Yeah, we heard that this morning.
Yes, get the platform there. And look at things like IoT, look at how can we capture the data, how can we utilize it, how can we actually introduce a standard reporting and so on.
So there's so much more we could be doing
There's so much
together.
more.
And we'll come back to that theme actually, because I was really excited by what I heard this morning from Simon.
Yeah.
But I just want to come back to this concept, or you mentioned this idea, and one of the questions our customers ask is, look, when I've got this idea, sometimes that idea becomes intellectual property, sometimes it becomes potentially a competitive advantage, but other times it could be something we could open source and make available. So Dan, how do you strike that balance between, who owns the IP, how does that all work?
Yeah, I mean, again, one of the things that was particularly interesting about BHF, and I think one of the things why we were successful in the bid was to really try and open BHF's eyes a little bit, to say, this is not just about something that you can build to operate yourself. Imagine this would be a platform that we could actually launch and operate on a global scale. How do we help BHF to become a software company, which is what we heard about in the keynote this morning. So that was really a central part of the narrative that we started to build. And that's what we do for other organizations as well. How can we help them to become a digital business through the use of software? But if we're going to do that, then of course this is their digital business that we're starting to create.
Exactly right.
This is their unique differentiation, this is their IP. So absolutely, the intellectual property of anything that we build vests with that customer, because we are building their digital business for them.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to reinforce, because ultimately it is it's your business, it's your organization, your outcomes that we partner together to solve. And so coming to this theme of, what's next, I mean, Simon, I don't see if I can remember now without a cue, but Simon talked about, I think, 3 areas of focus for the partnership. There was around how we modernize the workplace, secondly, how we accelerate innovation, and thirdly, I didn't realize you had such a retail presence, how you reimagine retail. And I think that gave us a pretty good structure for the partnership. So against that, what's next? What's the next big thing we're going to work on together?
The next big thing is we've been concentrating on setting the platforms. It's all to do with how do we get that seamless data transition.
Wow.
It's very much from retail to healthcare. It's like identifying opportunities to support the patients and the public, as well as bringing the research too. So let's look at across the board, how do we actually monitor the customer journey from retail to fundraising, all those things.
Connecting the dots,
because you can't try to connect the dots without having the right platform. So that's what we've been actually concentrating on. Let's get the fundamentals in place, as we are doing with New Signature, with the circuit. Let's get the fundamentals in place, and then let's build on it.
Absolutely, and this is not unique to the British Heart Foundation. There's a whole range of non-profit organizations out there that you mentioned this to me last night, that you're getting some questions from other non-profits. Can you just, what were you hearing from other non-profit organizations?
What I realized, as well as what I'm hearing from the other non-profits, is actually what is the formula for this success? And the formula for the success is, it's not simply the interaction with the partner, it's the interaction with Microsoft as well. It's a 3-way partnership, and that is what's really succeeding here. And that's where we can actually go beyond what we are doing now. And from Microsoft's point of view, what would you actually tell the non-for-profits or any other customer?
Yeah, it's a great question, Ursula, because we got some really strong feedback from non-profits about 2 or 3 years ago that their needs and your needs were quite different from traditional commercial organizations. And so our president, Brad Smith, created this new organization called the Technology for Social Impact Organization. And this is really important because this has created a platform for us to engage with non-profits. And so for those of you that are out there that are non-profit organizations, here's the one URL that I'll give you. It is nonprofit.microsoft.com. If you're not registered with us, then please do register with us. And then that way, not only can Microsoft, but also partners such as New Signature can identify that opportunity to work together and build on the success that we've done with you. And so listen, let me finish by just going back to where I started by saying a huge thank you, Ursula and Dan, for your partnership, your trust, and let's just go and do some great things together. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.